Okay, it took the vice grips and a little prying, but it popped loose. So now you just grab it by its pin here, and watch out for the fluid that flows out. And the spring may or may not come with it. When you take it out, that's just the return spring for, when you apply the gear and when it releases. But you want to go ahead and take all this stuff out. Lay it on your clean professional work area. And we will proceed to disassembly in a second here. Look at that spring for a minute, tell me what you think. Alright, now, I have already actually done the upgrade with the parts change itself. But, you can find these parts name brand from like Transgo or somebody for 20 or 25 bucks, but I wanted to tear back into it to clean up some of the slop I've got. I got a bunch of slop, but I can show you what the difference actually is real quickly between the pistons. Here's what came stock, and you can see the center cone piece, how large diameter it is compared to its upgrade, how it's got a much smaller center cone here. And what happens is this area down here is where the oil comes in, the high pressure oil, to apply second gear. It hits the surface and it presses against the piston, which locks the band down against the drum. So their idea was to give it a bigger surface area here, make this smaller, so you got more apply area, more force. So if you take out the accumulator or shim it up a little bit or put a softer spring in it, it'll hit this piston harder and it'll give you a more positive shift feel. I mean, you can get to the point where it'll bark the tires back here because it can hit this piston so hard. And then third gear, there's a spring underneath this cover and a snap ring. And I mean, it's a healthy ass spring, but when it goes into third, it pushes this back and applies oil here, which cushions the third shift. So I took the spring out, and I'm going to take this back apart and show you, how to shim it up properly. And then the last piece that sat on top of here, it releases third and hits fourth, and it just pushes the piston on the end of the shaft here, which pushes it all back in and applies fourth gear. So, let me get a screwdriver. Need a nice, fine blade, flat blade screwdriver. And this is probably not going to be easy with, I'll make it easy. Gently clamp that in the vise, and then you want to pop off your E-clip right here, and that'll just slide right on out. E-clip, washer, and spring, and then you can slide your piston right on off, flip it over. And then we'll clean up this pin later, obviously. Now, I'm going to set the camera down to remove the snap ring, but if you look closely, you'll see the opening right here. And right here's the other end of the opening. You just want to pop it up and out of there. And if the spring is still in it, which it will be if you haven't touched yours yet, you want to set it in a vise, like what I have here, and clamp it down gently enough just to compress it where you can get this into the snap ring out, and then you just walk it on out. So, since I don't have a spring, I shouldn't have to put it in a vise. Yeah, just like that. Once you get it started, you can kind of just walk her right on out of there. And then, once you got it started, just snap her on out. Roll over, and there'll be some fluid in there, obviously. what it'll look like. This piece will come right on out. And then here's your snap ring. Now I'm going to go ahead and spray these parts down with my AutoZone brake cleaner, and I'll be back in a second.